Hello, Raptors fans, and welcome back to Raptors Report. I'm your host, Julian. Today, we're going to be talking about the Toronto Raptors game against the Memphis Grizzlies. But before we do that, I want to talk about the Toronto Raptors offensive engine, the trio of players that have been powering the Toronto Raptors' pretty impressive offense this season. That's obviously RJ Barrett, Scottie Barnes, and Brandon Ingram. And I am very excited about this group. I just want to touch on something before we dive in. I've been pretty sick the past couple of days with the flu. I am feeling a little bit better today, but obviously I missed the other game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, so please excuse my disheveled appearance. I hope that I'm able to keep my wits about me as I explain why the Toronto Raptors are looking to be in safe hands on the offensive end. RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, and Scottie Barnes have really excelled this season on the offensive side of the ball, and everything is looking very harmonious and very intriguing from these three players. They have been consistently generating good quality looks for themselves and one another. They're playing off one another and giving each other space to operate. And the very intriguing thing is that they're all almost tied in terms of usage percentage. Usage percentage is a pretty easy stat to understand. It's basically the share of who takes the shots while they're on the court. So if you were to evenly distribute the shots between all five players on the court, each player would have about a 20% usage percentage. 100% divided by 5 is 20%, so that kind of makes sense. They all have a usage percentage of around 25% each. So if they were all on the floor at the same time, they'd be taking 75% of the shots in the offense, and then the remaining two players would be taking the other 25%. They're all sharing the load pretty evenly amongst one another, and it's looking really good. All of them are having very efficient seasons. Scottie Barnes is shooting 59% true shooting percentage, RJ Barrett is shooting 65% true shooting percentage, and Brandon Ingram is shooting 64% true shooting percentage. And I have an explanation for this. Last season, Scottie Barnes and Brandon Ingram were much worse in terms of their true shooting percentage. Scottie Barnes was shooting just over 52% true shooting percentage, and RJ Barrett was shooting around 55% true shooting percentage. So those are huge jumps in terms of efficiency. There's some explanation there. Scottie Barnes obviously was dealing with a hand injury to his shooting hand, so that didn't help him. But there's also another element as well. Both of them were higher in terms of defensive priority. Scottie Barnes and RJ Barrett were number 1 and number 2 in the scouting report. Teams were gearing in to stop them, and they were forced to play on ball a lot more than they have been asked to this season. I discussed in the last episode that I made that Scottie Barnes is playing off of the ball like a considerable amount more this season, which I think suits his game a lot better. And they're getting a lot cleaner looks and going against worse defenders. They've been bumped down in the pecking order in terms of the scouting report. So Brandon Ingram has been getting the most competent defender, and then Scottie Barnes, and then RJ. So they're getting cleaner looks as a result of the floor being more open, and they're playing against worse defenders. And as a result, they are getting a lot cleaner looks. They're finishing plays and really letting the system get them baskets instead of trying to get buckets, with the ball in their hands, trying to create it themselves. The system is helping them generate the baskets a little bit more organically than they have in the past. Now let's take a look at some of the individual players, because each of them has, their own strengths on the offensive side of the ball. We'll start with RJ, because he has really taken a huge leap on the offensive end this season, and he's really playing like the ultimate Morey ball player. 32% of his shots are coming at the rim, and 35% of his shots are coming from three. The rest of his shots mostly are those kind of push shots that he attempts when he can't get all the way to the rim, and those haven't been great, but he has been really good when he gets inside. He is shooting 75% at the basket, which is amazing, especially for a guard. Guards usually don't shoot as well around the rim because, they're a little bit more frail. They're not as tall. They usually don't have as long arms. They actually have to jump in order to score around there, but RJ is a physical guard. mean a lot of players. He's like a wing guard kind of player, shooting guard, small forward-ish player. So he can sort of barrel his way inside and then use his shoulder to push other players out of the way and finish. And he's been doing a really good job there. His percentages at the rim have gone back to where he was when he was with the Raptors his first season, which was around 73%. This season, he's 75% around the rim. That's really good to see that he's able to get back to where he was when he first got here. Also, a big development for RJ has been the return of his free throw shooting. Last season was kind of a disaster for him there. Last season, and even the year he got here, he really struggled to shoot free throws, shooting around 63% every season with the Raptors prior to this one. This season he's shooting 78% from the free throw line, which is a huge relief. If he can continue that, that is a really good sign because he is good at drawing free throws. He is really strong for a guard, and he's very explosive. He's looking more explosive than I've seen him in a while. Last game against the Grizzlies was a perfect example of that. He had multiple dunks in that game, like a tomahawk dunk, putback dunk, a poster dunk. He is looking really good around the rim. And his three-point shooting, he started out really hot. He was shooting like super well from three, and his shot has cooled off a bit, and it settled around 37% from three. And I'd be happy if he were able to maintain that for a full season. And I think he can. I think he can be a plus 35% three-point shooter. He's done it in the past, and I don't see why he can't with the kind of looks that he's getting. So very pleased with how RJ is playing this season. Also, another element to his game, he's always been a smart passer. He has a bit of flash with his passes as well. He plays the game the right way. When he draws extra defenders, he kicks it back out. He's always looking for other players. You can use him as a pick and roll player, and he can find players in the pick and roll too. He's a versatile offensive player. Obviously, I don't think you want him as the lead ball handler, but when he gets the ball, he's going to make a good decision with it, and he's looked really good this season. Scottie Barnes has been kind of a revelation in the same way. His efficiency has been in a huge uptick this season, going from 52% to 59%. That's a major jump. And he is playing the majority of his minutes sort of at the big position since Pirtle has been out. And I think that it has suited his game very well. He and CMB are kind of splitting the job at center, but he has been playing as a big for the majority of the season now that Pirtle has been forced to sit with injury. And as a result of that, he's playing off of the ball a lot more. So this season, 61% of his field goal makes have come off of an assist from one of his teammates. That means he's self-generating a lot less this season. In seasons past, last season, he was around 45% assisted field goals made, which means that he was trying to initiate the offense quite a bit more. So I think it suits his game a little bit more to be playing off ball, playing more as a big or a forward than as a guard on offense. He's screening a lot more. He's playing in the dunker spot. He's spotting up from three. He still handles the ball too. I don't want to take that away from him, especially in transition. In transition, he is an amazing ball handler, and he's really good. He's a threat to score and pass, and he's athletic and, long and strong, and he's got a lot of stuff going for him in transition. But in the half court, he has been more of an off-ball player. But he does handle the ball a little bit, and he's a good passer there as well. So it's not that he is not handling the ball anymore. It's just that he's handling it less, picking his spots more, and kind of doing what's needed. I think last season the Raptors needed a guy who was an on-ball player to initiate the offense, and he was kind of thrust into that role, and he didn't look as confident or comfortable. This season, he's still doing what the team needs, but what the team needs is what he's really good at, and so we're seeing him really shine this year. His three-point shooting has been a revelation. He's shooting 47% from three, so it's starting to come back down to earth, like he was shooting over 50%, and it's coming back down to earth, but in like a gentle way. He shot around 40% last night, which, is really good still, but obviously not as good as 50%. But as long as he stays above 35% from three, I'm gonna be super happy for him. He's had 2 seasons where he shot under 30% from 3, so having him, north of 35% would be just like a really good development for him. So the fact that he's at 47% is just like gravy. I'm just over the moon about it. And he's really mixing it up. So he's taking 3-point shots, but he's not only settling. He's mixing it up inside. He's taking mid-range shots. He's passing the ball, facilitating the offense, playing on and off of the ball. His offensive game has really matured. Like, this is a guy who is figuring out how to take what the defense is giving him. And he's playing like an all-NBA power forward. I am just like really happy with what I'm seeing from Scottie Barnes, really on both sides of the ball. Now let's get to Brandon Ingram. So Brandon Ingram's a lot different than these other guys. He is like a mid-range operator, and that's how he has been the past couple of seasons. He takes the plurality of his shots from 10 to 16 feet from the basket. So he's taking almost 30% of his shots from that range. And he has been very accurate with that shot the past half decade or so. He's shooting above or around 50% from that range, which is very good for a mid-range shooter. And he is, there's no question as to why. He has elite moves in that range. He can generate a good-looking pull-up mid-range shot that goes in a lot. He is very long. He has super long arms and a high release. It is very difficult to block his shots in that range. And he's very good at using that shot as the baseline to force defenders to kind of pick their poison. He is really good at getting players to bite on his pump fakes and then either draw the foul or get to the rim. And although he doesn't take a ton of shots at the rim, like it's under 20% of his shots come at the rim, he is like mega efficient at the rim. 85% this season and plus 70% the past couple of seasons. And there's not really a question as to why. When he gets to the rim, it is as a result of the fact that he has sort of bamboozled the defense. So if somebody overcommits to his shot, he is able to drive in and get an uncontested shot at the rim. And he's very long. That's another thing. Like, that helps him with his shooting, but it also helps with his finishing as well. He can be a little craftier around the rim, utilize pump fakes around the rim, and be able to score without having to like jump really high. Brandon Ingram likes to use screens to get to the mid-range. And once he gets into that mid-range, he is a triple threat, meaning that he can either pull up and shoot a mid-range shot, he can drive to the rim, as I just mentioned, if the defense overcommits to the shot, or he can pass the ball. He's also a very good passer out of the pick and roll. So it's very difficult to guard him in that area as long as he has adequate spacing. And that scoring comes through tough defense. So he usually draws the top defensive assignment, and he is usually also going up against the help defense as well because they want to cut off his penetration as well. That play has really just opened up the floor for the rest of the players. RJ and Scottie have been huge beneficiaries of this play, as I've already mentioned. They have a lot more space to operate in. They are getting much better looks as a result of the defensive attention that Brandon Ingram is drawing when he is in the game. When it comes to three-point shooting, he's shooting it a little less than he has in the past, and almost all of his threes that he is taking are catch and shoot, spot up three-point shots, which I think is fine. A lot of people have complained about this in the past with Brandon Ingram, is that they want to see him become more of a shooter. Right now, he's playing more as a spacer for the other players when they have the ball. He is spotting up at three-point range, and he's shooting the ball very accurately, 39%. That is really good, and that's exactly what you want to see. I think that he could shoot more off of the dribble if he feels comfortable with it. But right now, I think that the offense is humming really well with those three. I don't need to see him, force up more threes because, people think that that's a good shot for him. I think that things are working quite well. And unless, teams adjust their coverages and maybe take some other things away from him, I'm comfortable with his shot diet right now. I think it's generating a lot of really quality looks and making Raptors half-court offense look quite good. Now let's get to some of the bad news. So the bad news is that Scottie Barnes is really the only good defender out of these three. RJ and Ingram have their own kind of advantages and disadvantages, strengths and weaknesses in terms of their defense. We'll start with Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram has poor lateral foot speed. You do not want him guarding a player who is a threat to drive with the ball, because he is just not the type of player who can track and keep a player from getting into the paint when that player has the ball. So you kind of have to hide him on a guy who's not a threat to drive. Usually he is sort of parked on the player who is in the corner, and then he can help in the paint. He's actually a pretty good help defender. He has long arms, and he has a decent motor for going after players and challenging shots around the rim, using his length to try and cut off passing lanes. He had a really nice block last night under the rim. He has been showing me something that I didn't know that he was capable of, which is playing good help defense around the basket. But his perimeter defense is not good. RJ is kind of the opposite. It's a little different, but he is a decent wing point of attack defender in that when his man has the ball, his lateral foot speed is pretty good. And he is also physically strong and can use his body to sort of bump players and keep them from getting to the rim. So that's not his issue. His issue is that he gets his signals crossed quite a bit, and he overhelps or helps at the wrong time, and he's late to closeouts. So a lot of the time when he's on the court, players that he's guarding are going to be left open, and they're going to be able to shoot shots. And that's not very good. I think that for all of his strengths on offense, he is a cerebral player on the offensive end. He makes the right play like the majority of the time on offense, and he really seems to know what he's supposed to do on offense. On defense, it's kind of like he doesn't seem to process the game on that end as well as he does on offense. And his man gets open far too much for my liking, especially when his man is off the ball. So both those two players have some distinct disadvantages on the defensive end. I will say one thing that is a positive for that group is that all three are good rebounders. Jakob Poeltl could also, not just Jakob Poeltl, let's just talk about a theoretical center who's a good defender and rebounder. That will help the Toronto Raptors immensely to make up for the flaws of RJ and Brandon Ingram in terms of their defense. A lot of what's happening right now is that the perimeter defense is getting broken down as a result of their poor point of attack defense and some of the problems that they have with RJ and Brandon Ingram, among other things. But when you have a center in the game, like a legit 7-footer who is a primary help defender, they help clean up those messes. They fix problems on the defensive end. When you have guys who are this good and looking this strong on offense, you have a specialist like a center, a guy like Jakob Poeltl, that helps fix defensive breakdowns. So I hope that Jakob Poeltl is able to return soon, because I've been really impressed with what these three players have been able to accomplish on the offensive end. The Toronto Raptors have had a problem for a very long time, their offense stalling out and not being able to put points on the board for an extended period of time. With Scottie, RJ, and Ingram, I have not seen that problem yet this season. I think things are looking really clean on offense, and it seems like they're able to keep the pedal to the metal, like they're able to consistently generate points, both in the half court and in transition. And I think it looks really good, especially on offense. In any case, that's what I wanted to talk about. Let you guys know what I'm seeing from these three players, kind of letting you in on maybe some of the details that I've been able to see both on the court and through the stats. And hopefully, they're able to continue doing what they're doing, and the Toronto Raptors are able to continue winning games. So why don't we get into the player evaluations, and we can talk about who played the best and what I saw from them this game. So there's a reason I talked about the trio of Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, and Scottie Barnes, because in this game, it's kind of tough to pick between the three of them because they all had really good games. I'm going to go with the leading scorer in this game, RJ Barrett, who had an efficient 27 points this game, 27 points on 19 shots. He was 2 of 8 from 3, which isn't fantastic. He was 5 of 7 from the free throw line. I'll take that. 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks, 2 turnovers, and I think just had a commanding performance. I really, really enjoyed watching his offensive process in this game. He spread out his scoring in all of the quarters. He was a threat in transition. He had a whole bunch of really nice plays with Colin Murray-Boyles. The two of them seemed to have a synergy. There was some pick and rolls between the two. There was some high-low passing. There were a bunch of really nice plays between the two of them. He had a whole bunch of really sick dunks in this game. The threes that he hit were pretty clutch and really good for the momentum of the game. He had a bunch of nice assists. He's been great this season, to be honest. And this was just another very strong game from him. And the Grizzlies really struggled with his physicality and his athleticism. They really didn't have an answer for him because they were trying to guard him with Jalen Wells, who kind of is just not physically strong enough to guard RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett was able to sort of bonk him out of the way and score at the rim. Just a great game. And Memphis, without Zach Edey, they lack a strong presence on the inside. They have Jock Landale down there, and Jock Landale is a backup center who's not very big. RJ posterized him, and he had a bunch of scores on the inside. So just a really good game from him. I love to see it. 7 free throws as well. You could tell that he was active, engaged, going to the rim. That is something that he has been able to do very well this season, is get inside and score. And just a masterclass from RJ Barrett. Loved what I saw from him. Next up, again, very difficult to pick between the three of them, but I'll go with Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram had 26 points on 15 shots. He shot 66% from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 5 of 6 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, a really nasty block. I love that. With 4 turnovers. And I thought he was good on both ends last night. He was just, he has that polish in the half court that some teams cannot stop. Some teams are just not equipped to be able to stop Brandon Ingram from getting to his spot and scoring. And he had a bunch of really nice plays where he got inside and used his length to finish at the basket. And the game plan was pretty clear this game, is that Jaren Jackson Jr. is a good rim defender, but it's not like he is scary. Jock Landale is undersized for the position as well. The Raptors really wanted to get inside this game, and they did for the most part, with all 3 of their best players going inside multiple times, just taking it to the rim. And Brandon Ingram was pretty much unstoppable all night long. And it's hard for other teams. There are some teams that try and stop you and want to grind you down. And then there's other teams that dare you to keep up with them, where they're just going to try and score every time down. They basically tell you, match my energy, score against me, score with me. The Raptors are kind of doing that. They did that to the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies just do not have the firepower, especially with Ja Morant out of the lineup. They don't have a guy who can break down the defense. The Raptors do have a guy who can break down the defense, Brandon Ingram. That guy was unstoppable, and he really helped the Raptors, propel them to victory. The Grizzlies have guys who Brandon Ingram and other weaker defenders can play against. That's why Grady saw extended minutes last night. Brandon Ingram, obviously you're going to play him he plays 33 minutes every single game. He was 2 seconds off from playing 33 minutes. They have a very tight rotation. So if he has a guy that is ready-made to guard, then you're going to be okay. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was the guy that the Toronto Raptors kind of designated as the guy to hide players on. Brandon Ingram was the guy who was guarding him when he was on the floor, and then when Grady was on the floor, they had him on KCP. And basically they said, if you want to, you can run plays through KCP and try and get into the paint that way. And they couldn't punish the Raptors. And so Brandon Ingram, because as I said, he is a guy that is actually a pretty good help defender. If you can get a guy that he can defend against, he's going to give you decent minutes on the defensive end, and I think he did last night. Good game from him. 7 rebounds is really nice. Take that every day from him. Last of the 3, but still an unbelievable game. Scottie Barnes had a really complete game. 19 points on 19 shots, so the efficiency wasn't amazing. He was 3 of 8 from 3, which is quite good. He didn't shoot any free throws. Kind of disappointing. I think he should go to the line a little bit more than he does. And I think a lot of that is the reffing and how they're calling the game. I really do. I mean, as much of a homer take as that is, I think he should go to the line more than he currently does. But here are the other stats. So look at this. 12 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 steal, 5 blocks, 2 turnovers. Just a great all-around game. He was the defensive stopper for the Raptors. He was the last line of defense at the rim. He was Xing out really well. He was just, he was playing the big position on the defensive end very well against a team that he can play the big position well against, which is an undersized Memphis Grizzlies front court. They have Aldama, they have Triple J, they have Jock Landale. None of those guys are, bangers. They're all kind of finesse guys. They can score inside, no doubt about it, but it's not like they're going to punish you physically. He had a little bit of trouble guarding Triple J in single coverage in the first half, but then later on in the game, he settled into it. And a lot of the time, especially, I always say this when I talk about centers, is that you don't look at the guy that they're guarding in terms of how they did defensively. So the other center could score a bunch of points really efficiently. But the center is the guy who guards the opposing team. He's the primary help defender. And in that regard, Scottie Barnes was great. 5 blocks and cutting off penetration to the rim. There were guys who were trying to drive inside and score at the rim. Scottie Barnes cut them off. Great game on the defensive end. And then a decent game on the offensive end, especially when you consider those 8 assists, a lot of them in transition, a lot of them just really nice, smart passes, drive into the paint, kick it out, making good high-low feeds. He just has all of the different passes in the book. And, I was just very pleased with him on both sides of the ball. Next up, the top 4 players here all had great games, and Colin Murray-Boyles, this was, I think, his best game. His first game against Wemby, where he played that excellent defense and then hit those shots, that's a close contender. But man, I thought he had a really strong night, even though he didn't hit any threes. And he has been on a tear from the 3-point line. He's been making his 3-point shots. But I was a bit disappointed in those games, especially in terms of the rebounding. So they're playing CMB as one of the bigs. So he and Scottie Barnes are kind of splitting duties as the de facto center. They're both giving up size on the inside, and he struggled, especially against the Houston Rockets. I think he ended up with 2 rebounds in that game, and he was just physically overmatched by Steven Adams. But in this game, against a smaller team, a team that's not as much of a threat on the boards, like Triple J is not a good rebounder for the player of his size. And Santi Aldama is also not. Jock Landale is a pretty good rebounder, but, Colin Murray-Boyles had a good rebounding night. 9 rebounds in 31 minutes. That's good to see. 15 points on 14 shots. That's not the greatest, but he shot 50% from the field. And his ability to drive into the paint, man, he is fast. He is so fast, even with the ball in his hands, getting to the rim. And then his touch is like otherworldly. Like, he has that magical touch. He was scoring through contact, through contests at the rim. That was just really nice to see. 5 assists as well, 3 steals. Like, that is going to be his calling card in the league, is those hands just being able to poke balls loose. He also had one where he blew up a pick and roll just by poking the ball loose. It ended up in a turnover. I don't think they credited him for a steal there, but he is just so active with the ball, with his hands, and he's able to generate steals that way. He's still a little undersized under the rim, so you can score over him at the rim a little bit. That's a bit of a concern, but I'm really happy with what I saw from him. Some of the passes this guy was making were unbelievable. So he had a really awesome, sort of fancy pass to Scottie Barnes, and Scottie was not able to convert the up and under layup, but that was an awesome pass. He had a really nice dime to RJ. This kid knows how to play the game. and he's just going to keep getting better. And the rebounding, I was kind of getting a little concerned until this game, so it's good to see that he got those 9 rebounds. Last, and unfortunately least, and he's still not able to kind of bust out of this funk that he's in, and I have some theories for it, and I'll go into that. Immanuel Quickley last on the list here. He had 9 points on 5 shots, which is not terrible in terms of efficiency. He was 2 of 4 from 3. That was good. He hit his first, I believe, his first pull-up 3 in transition in the regular season. So that's good to see. And then they ran a nice play for him where he came off of a screen from Grady Dick, and he curled off of that and was able to hit a 3 off of the ball. He was 3 of 3 from the line, so he did get inside. He did go to the line. He had 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 turnovers. So this was not a good night for him. I thought his defense was okay. And here's the thing, is that Cam Spencer is their starting point guard when Ja Morant is out. And he is just not a threat on the perimeter. And, you know, Immanuel Quickley did a good job. I mean, look at the level of competition. Cam Spencer is not a starting level point guard. And he shot 1 for 7 from the field and just was not capable enough to break down a defense or even attack a guy like Immanuel Quickley. So Immanuel Quickley, props to him. He was able to play good defense on a guy who he should be able to. And another thing to his credit is that in the past, he kind of dominated the ball and took the ball out of those 3 players' hands that I mentioned in the first part of this video, and he did not do that this game. So there's 2 things going on here. Number 1, Immanuel Quickley, his bread and butter in the half court is the pick and roll and the ability to shoot coming off of a screen. The best screener on the team is Jakob Poeltl. Jakob Poeltl has been hobbled and in the past couple of games has had to sit out. So his 1A option on offense has been either hurt or gone. So he's going to look less effective. So keep that in mind. And number 2, I think that they should just simply do kind of what they did in the second half, where they have him as a decoy running off of the ball, running off of screens, and get him looks that way, where he isn't forced to handle the ball, because he's still making questionable decisions with the ball in his hands. And I have to admit, like I was saying in the past, wait until his shot returns. Now my cope is that, like, wait until Poeltl returns. So yeah, still not a very good night for him. Off of the bench, the best player off the bench was clearly Jamal Shead. Jamal Shead looked awesome. He had 9 points on 4 shots. He was 2 of 3 from 3. Love that. 1 of 1 from the free throw line, 5 assists, no rebounds, but no turnovers either. He looks great. I love watching this guy play. He gives the ball to Brandon Ingram more than anybody else on the team. He just gets the ball up the court and then is like, Brandon, here's the ball. Listen, a lot of the time that's what the point guard needs to do. That used to be a lot more popular in the dead ball era, like way back in the early to mid 2000s. That was kind of like Derek Fisher's job on the Lakers, was like carry the ball up the court and then give it to Kobe and let him do his thing. He does more than that for sure. But he does that quite a bit. He does give the ball to Brandon Ingram quite a lot, which I like. He's also able to run the pick and roll very well, and he's able to set up guys in the offense. He's a very creative passer. And then his 3-point shooting, you know, I like the look of his shot. I think it's a pretty decent looking shot, and he's shooting it confidently. He was 2 of 3 from 3. Hope that keeps up. Thought he had a great game. Next up, we'll give it to Grady Dick, even though I think there was a big drop off here. Grady Dick had 8 points on 3 of 6 shooting, which is good. He was 1 of 4 from 3. We'll talk about that in a second. He was 1 of 2 from the free throw line with 4 rebounds and no other stats. And he was a positive on the game, plus 10. So the Grizzlies, as I mentioned earlier, have a player that the Toronto Raptors can park poor defenders on. Grady Dick, when he was on the court, was guarding Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who cannot handle the ball very well and is not a threat to drive. So that is Grady's biggest weakness, is that he has poor lateral foot speed. He can't be put on any guy who can break him down off of the dribble. His defense was also not very good this game. Even despite that, there were a bunch of moments where he got either beat inside by a player just, you know, getting past him. He was not putting up much resistance there. There were a couple of times when he closed out to the wrong spot. He was kind of got mixed up and then closed out to like a guy who wasn't even there. So his defense is not good, and that continues to be the case. And the 1 of 4 from 3, he did make a 3, and it was a wide open wing 3 that was a standstill catch and shoot shot. He took a couple of other 3s that were similar to that and missed those. I don't think this was a good game from him, even though he had 8 points on 3 of 6 shooting. I think it was a bit deceptive. I still need to see more from this guy. And I think last night, against a sort of depleted Memphis Grizzlies team, I think maybe that could help him get his confidence back. I think that having a night where he was able to play 20 minutes and not just get completely destroyed is a positive sign for future growth. So if it's like a stepping stone to us getting good performances from him, then I'll take it. But And then a couple other players played, Jamison Battle, Jacoby Walter, Sandro Mamukelashvili. None of them played particularly well, so we'll go to the final thoughts here. The Toronto Raptors, the past couple of games, as I've mentioned, they are playing against teams that are missing some of their best players. So they were able to get wins off of the Cavs and the Grizzlies, and these are kind of fugazi wins. Like, they're not playing against the best players. But here's the thing. This was a difficult part of the schedule, and I was saying that I expected the Toronto Raptors to go 3-7 over this stretch. And they looked really bad against some of the better teams on this list, especially on the road. But saying that, I am hoping that this will give the Raptors a bit of a vibe reset so that the Raptors are able to feel better about themselves, especially if the Raptors are able to sort of find their groove on the defensive end with CMB in the lineup and kind of figure things out in that area. I think that can really help because players are human. Rolling a ball downhill is a lot easier than pushing it up a hill. So if things are feeling good and you're getting wins, the future wins become a little easier. As long as you don't get complacent and you're working hard and executing on the fundamentals, it gets easier when you're winning games. There's a virtuous cycle. Your mentality is better. Players will forego their own stats if your team is winning, if you're all pulling for the common cause. So getting wins over these kinds of teams, like, of course you can't like hang your hat on that. But what I'm thinking about is the future. If these wins can help the Toronto Raptors get their confidence back and not fall into a hole, hey, maybe they can put together some impressive wins against better teams. Set the stage for good wins in the future. That's what I'm hoping for. And a really good test for them is coming up on Tuesday, so tomorrow, against the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks obviously beat them the last time they faced them in Toronto. This one will also be in Toronto, and the Bucks are looking good this season. Steve and I on the podcast have, kind of underestimated them and thought that they were kind of on the outs, but they have looked very good offensively. It's basically just like Giannis Antetokounmpo and a whole bunch of guys who can shoot the ball. And that has been a recipe for success for them. Ryan Rollins has been like a revelation for them. He's averaging 18 points a game and 5 assists. Gary Trent Jr., he's really good at shooting, and that's kind of his thing, but that's what you need next to Giannis. And then off of the bench, Cole Anthony has been a strong player for them too. The only guy that hasn't really lived up to the billing has been Miles Turner. He's been kind of disastrous for them. He's only shooting 39% from the field for them, which, he shoots a lot of threes. He's not like a traditional center, but even so, I mean, like, that's pretty pathetic. So hopefully the Toronto Raptors can have a bounce back against the Milwaukee Bucks. Last game was not pretty against them. They kind of hung around until the end and the wheels came off. Hopefully, a lot of that was Emmanuel Quickley maybe not understanding his role in the new offense. And if he can play a more restrained type of basketball where he plays more off of the ball, maybe the Toronto Raptors can outpace the Milwaukee Bucks and kind of build on their success. But as long as, Giannis plays in that game, they'll be facing a strong opponent. And this will be like a test that I think is winnable for the Toronto Raptors. It's at home, and, they have a bit of good mojo going. So hopefully they can win that game and draw even on the season, go to 4-4. I'd be very happy with that outcome for the Toronto Raptors, especially with the schedule being so difficult for them. In any case, that is the episode. Hope you enjoyed. Of course, got to mention the Blue Jays here. Yeah, condolences to the hardcore Jays fans. That is a huge, even as a bandwagoner, that was tough. Won't dwell too long on that because it's such a still a fresh wound, but hopefully maybe this was at least a band-aid on the gaping wound that the Blue Jays left. The Toronto Raptors maybe healed that by a percentage or so by beating the Memphis Grizzlies last night. If you haven't already, please subscribe, please leave a like and hit the bell icon so you know when new videos go live. Also join the Discord. There are plenty of Toronto Raptors fans there willing to talk Raptors and also NBA basketball. And follow Raptors Report on all of the different social media channels. We're pretty much all there. And as always, thank you for tuning in to Raptors Report, your source for in-depth Raptors content.